Oh, nice contact.
There you go, Mark. That's better.
I'm looking at your driver swing. I think as far as your full swing adjustments, the driver is what I would focus on first. Um, in that if you can hit your driver and hit more fairways and have more control and accuracy with your driver, that starts the hole off a lot better. And so your scoring really hinges on how well you tee off on the shot. And we need to the directional control of any drive or any shot is determined by the where the face is pointing at impact and the direction the club head is moving through the ball, the path of the club through the ball at impact. If the face is slightly open to the right and your path is to the left of that, you'll hit a slice. You'll hit a ball that starts right and curves right. If your face is slightly open, but the path is to the right of the face, then the ball will start slightly right, but then draw back to the left. It'll be a draw. And so you have some issues both with face control and path control. You need to work on adjusting your swing mechanics so that you consistently deliver the club head square to the ball. And then the pathway of that delivery needs to be more out and not so much across the ball. And so we're going to start by looking at things that you're doing that impact you negatively with your path and face. First, let's look at where your weight is distributed at impact. I've got you just past impact. On the right is Grant Waite, who was a tour player during the 90s and considered having one of the best swings in golf at that time. He's now an advanced instructor and teaches a lot of tour players. Aaron Baddeley, Charles Howell III, Daniel Summerhays, Brian Gay. He has a large group of people that he is working with. His teaching partner is Joe Mayo, who lives here in Vegas and is a good friend of mine. So I'm using Grant because of his swing mechanics are so solid. But what I'm going to talk about with him, you would see in almost every PGA player. First of all, at his weight is on top of his left-footed impact. About 85 to 90% of the average pro's weight will be on top of their left foot at the moment of impact. I've drawn a red line off that left ankle straight up, and you can see that red line is passing right through the center of his belt buckle. So you can see that your weight is behind your foot and you're not really on top of your foot. That will promote a pathway that is to the left and swinging left on the ball, which will slice it. It will slice it if the face is square or open. If the face gets closed and when you swing to the left, then you'll hit the leftward pull hook. So that path will create both slices and hooks depending on where the face was pointing at impact. And so one of the things that we need to do in order to hit out is to get our weight more on top of your left-footed impact. Now, one of the things that is causing your chaos with the club face, sometimes the club face is square, sometimes the club face is open, sometimes it's closed. It's not consistent. A lot of that comes from how you swing your hands through the ball. Your wrist joint is a multi-directional joint. It can go back and forth and it can go up and down. and it's supposed to go up and down, hinge up and down, and you are throwing. You can see how that um, that wrist is angled and bowed that way. In Grant's hands, hinge the club up and not round. You won't see Grant's right wrist rounded like yours is, because he's hinging the club up and you're throwing it over. So that you would have to have some work done on learning how to rehinge your wrist properly in the follow through. And so once you develop a completely new feel of how the wrists move in golf, you've got the wrist moving in the wrong direction, the opposite direction, the way they're supposed to move in golf. And that's going to create problems for you until that is fixed. So that's certainly on one of the things that every golfer needs to do is recognize that they have 10 things wrong with their swing, but you can't work on 10 things. So you have to prioritize and work on one or two fundamentals at a time, and they have to be the right fundamentals. They have to be the correct sequence that you learn them. And certainly early on in your swing development, as you continue to get better, you need to first work on your grip and how you move your hands correctly in a golf swing. Now, Mark, you have a lot of natural athletic ability. We just need to kind of harness it and move it and have it move correctly. If we look at you from the waist up, you look very similar to Grant. You have turned, you're rotated, you let both elbows fold, you're looking over your right arm at your target. Where it's different is in the lower body. So what we need to focus on is how to make our lower body move correctly. You'll notice that Grant's back foot is on the tip of the toe, and you're flat. You're kind of hanging back. You've got way too much weight on your back foot. So you're here, and Grant is much more on top of that foot. He could literally lift his back foot up and tap his toe, and you're still kind of falling backwards a little bit. So that'll be one of the things that you could work on, is how to swing to opposing position that you see Grant in. Now I'm going to look at some of the things that you do prior to impact. Everything you do before impact has the sole purpose of arriving at a fundamentally sound impact position. The ball only responds to the laws of physics and motion that exist while the ball is on the face of the club, which is for 400 microseconds at impact. So the movement that you make before impact is designed to deliver the club the way you want it delivered every time. So let's start with your setup. I like your setup. You have nice extension in your arms, good wide stance. You do have a habit, and I know that it's from trying to correct your slice, of curling that club face over. So it's actually, you're almost presetting it, aiming to the left, anticipating that it cannot arrive square. And so you're trying to help it arrive square to the ball by presetting it square to the left. Now, once you learn how to move your hands correctly and rotate your hands correctly and rehinge your wrist correctly, you won't need to do this little band-aid that you're doing now. Now, as you go back, I want us to pay attention to this left foot in a golf swing. As Grant goes back, he keeps that left foot flat. He's all the way at the top of his swing, and his left foot is flat, and his weight is still, his back and his hip and his knee are all on top of his left foot when he gets to the top of his swing. And as you go back, you can see how your foot comes off the ground. And so all your weight has moved way to the right. Now remember, I said that at impact, the average pro will have 90% of their weight on their left foot at impact. And because you've moved so far to the right in your backswing, it's going to be hard for you to move that much back to the left foot at impact. So one of the things that you need to do in changing and adjusting your swing is to adjust your backswing. You need to have a stable axis golf swing. You need to set your golf circle at the address position and don't let that circle move to the right. Just rotate around the circle, but keep the axis stable. And you have now moved your golf circle way to the right, and now not only do you have to learn how to swing around the circle, you've got to hope that you can move the circle back up to where it needs to be at impact. So the few things I would like you to work on is learning how to do a backswing, or let me just state it another way, learn how to do a golf swing with both feet flat on the ground up until impact. Now, after impact, your back foot will come off the ground, but your left foot should always remain flat on the ground throughout the swing, throughout the backswing, throughout impact, and through the follow through. So both feet are flat in the backswing, and the back foot comes up to the toe in the follow through. That would be what I would work on. You also tend to overswing a little bit, but I'm not sure that's the first thing I would work on. You can see how your elbow is bending here, and Grant is fairly straight. If we look at what we call the 3 position, this is when your left arm is parallel to the ground. When Grant is in this position, his left arm is pretty straight and he's hinged his club up. You're actually in a pretty good 3 position. You haven't really started letting that elbow bend at all, and you're hinging your wrist. So your 3 position is pretty good. You have moved to the right though. So let me just recap. For your driver swing, I want you to work on learning how to rehinge your wrist up and down, and how to do a backswing with your feet flat on the ground. There are some drills you can learn to work on these fundamentals, but that's what you need to do. Now, the how to do it is the harder part, but I'm identifying what you need to work on.